I'm feeling blessed today, guys. Firstly, because of this amazing weather, and secondly, we've got new Land Rover parts, and there's nothing better than new Land Rover parts on a sunny day. Let's get started. So last time you guys saw me fitting 2 new airbags, or at least you saw me fitting 1 new airbag and I fitted the other one off camera. What you didn't see, however, was me taking the airbags on and off 2 or 3 times trying to solve an air leak. As over the first night the car sank down on its airbags, so the new fittings where the pipes connect to the airbags were actually leaking. So at the same time that I ordered this new damper, I also ordered a couple of new air fittings. So these are they're called Voss fittings, and this is what Land Rover used to connect plastic air lines into the airbags. So hopefully this will cure my leak. So yeah, that's going to be the first job. I've got this side jacked up, got the wheel off. I'll take the arch liner out, depressurize this airbag, and then get one of these fitted. So here we are, guys, back in the wheel arch of the Range Rover. Seem to be spending quite a bit of time in here lately. So there you can see the damper we're going to be replacing later. You can actually see there, this dark patch here is where it's been leaking oil slightly. So actually when you look at it, it is quite bad. Perhaps that's going to be the cause of our hard riding issue, but we'll find out. So first thing I've got to do is pull out this arch liner so I can get to that valve block, and this time I'll show you guys the valve block, because a couple of you guys remarked last time that I didn't show you how to depressurize the air system. So let's get started. Easy as that. So inside the wheel arch, once you remove your arch liner, you'll be able to trace these brightly coloured lines up to the air valve at the top here. So this is what I was referring to when I was talking about the valve last time. And I'm just removing these lines to depressurize the airbags on each side. So I believe this line here is the one that comes from the reservoir. This line goes to the driver's side, and this line goes to the passenger side. Just traced it back, guys. This lower line here is the one for the driver's side airbag. So we will loosen this off with a 12mm spanner. After a few turns, we should hear it start to hiss as the air evacuates the air spring. There we go. So you don't want to undo it fully to start off with. You just want to let it drain a bit like that first, because the air pressure, if you undo it fully, it can blast the fitting out and damage the threads. So we'll just let that drain for a minute. Okay, as that is mostly drained now, we can remove the fitting the rest of the way. And there we go. That airbag's now completely drained of air. So the next stage is to get the clip out the top of the airbag, and again I'm just going to use my trusty Allen wrench to pull the clip out. There we go. Again, this is a 12mm. So I just want to kind of manoeuvre the airbag around into a position where you can get onto this nut with a 12mm. Ideally, you'd have a shorter 12mm spanner than I do. There we go. Release that and we can get the airbag back out of there. So that's our airbag released again, guys. So the replacement airline fittings actually come with this white pin inserted in there, and you want to leave that in there until you've actually fitted it into the airbag. So we'll put this in, tighten it to the specified torque, which isn't very much, it's about 5 Newton meters, and then, and only then, we'll remove the plastic pin in the centre, because that just keeps the collet on the end in the right orientation. So yeah, that's very important. So now that's in there and tight, I can pull out the plastic pin. And you can see that, hopefully you guys can see that our collet in there stayed nice and straight. So before this one goes in, I've got to pull off the old collet again. And then we just got to pull what little airline we've got into position, line it up with the end of the fitting, and just push that in as far as it will go until it stops hard, which is how you know you've got it all the way in. And fingers crossed, that will stop our leak. So that's the airbag refitted, guys. Now all I've got to do is reconnect the airline on the valve block, put the wheel back on and see if that's fixed the leak. Okay, once again, let's blow the suspension up. Up we go. Alright, let's go all the way up to off-road height. Get the handbrake off, release it. Okay, I think we're there now. Okay, I'm going to crawl underneath now with the GoPro and see if we can see any leaks. So, crawling underneath, I've got a bottle of soap and water with me. Just get my head torch turned on. So hopefully you guys can see that. That's the airline and airbag we just fitted from the underside. So, let's get this soapy water. Hopefully get it on target. And watch the bubbles. Unfortunately, I'm seeing bubbles again. Bollocks. Yep, that's definitely leaking. So it's probably a bit early to say, but I'm now thinking there's probably an issue with the bags themselves, like it's leaking around the fitting where the thread of the airbag is actually assembled into the top of the airbag assembly. I'm assuming the air is leaking out around there because there's no other reason that I can think that would be leaking right now. The brand new fitting, nice clean airline and done up properly. Bugger. So as much of an absolute pain in the arse this is going to be, I'm going to have to take those airbags back off again, the Aerosus ones, put the old ones back on again, send the Aerosus ones back and hopefully get replacements. It seems those comments in the first video about Aerosus not being quite the quality brand that they're made out to be might be coming true. Right, let's do it all over again. So luckily I kept the old Contitech bag from this side, so I've given it a bit of a clean up. It doesn't actually look as bad as I thought it was in the first place. It's probably not as old as I thought. There's a code here that looks like it might be from 2018, so if that's the case, it's probably still fine. So this is going to go back on again, and then, like I say, I'll have to claim on the warranty for the air assist bags, because as far as I can tell, it must be this bit here where the thread is pushed into the assembly itself that's leaking, rather than the air fitting like I thought. So let's chuck this back on again then. Yeah, this is what I mean. Where this brass thread is inserted into the actual unit itself, I now think that it's actually leaking air around the fitting. So no matter how well I seal up the actual fitting that I'm putting on the airline, the female part of the thread I think is actually leaking around the outside of it. That's my theory anyway. Okay, the wheel's back on again. Suspension's pumped up. Let's go back under with our spray bottle. See if we have a leak. Right. So far, that's looking pretty good to me. We're looking for any new bubbles blowing up around the fitting. And so far, that looks like it's just sitting there to me, which is perfect. Oh man. All that faffing around just because of faulty parts being sent to me. That's annoying. Yep, no leaks there, guys. That will hold pressure indefinitely. Oh dear. Oh well, better do the other side. So I've just refitted this airbag on this side now. And with that, we're now back to where we were at the start of the previous episode. Isn't working on cars great sometimes? So let's crawl under one more time with our spray gun and check for leaks, hopefully for the last time tonight. Hopefully for the last time today. So there she is. And again, that's looking really good to me, no leaks at all. Let's give it another quick squirt. Yeah. No new bubbles being made there, guys. So again, we've got a nice airtight seal there. Oh, that's good. So it won't be sagging down overnight anymore, which is fantastic news. So we're back on the original air springs now, and as you guys have seen, I've just leak tested them and no more leaks now. So that for me confirms it's definitely the airbags themselves that were leaking rather than the fittings. As I showed you in that previous shot, I think it was just around the threaded section of the airbag that was leaking as opposed to the fitting itself. So that's really disappointing actually. So there was actually a comment on the previous video that you guys may have seen actually warning me about the air assist bags. But effectively what he was saying was that air assist are sort of masquerade as a German company with high quality German products. But what they're actually doing is rebranding Chinese products and then reselling them on at an inflated price. Obviously they did a pretty good job of it because it managed to fool me. I was under the impression these were going to be high quality parts. Again, from the reviews that I saw online, there was no reason for me to suspect that these would be anything other than a quality German part. So these are going to have to get sent back to Germany. In the meantime, I'll run it on the airbags that it's on now, and then eventually replace them with a pair of Contitech ones, or maybe go to a set of R-knot springs eventually as well, but a bit more expensive, so that probably have to wait for a while yet. So anyway, now that's cleared up, let's get on to the main event for today, which is fitting some actual German parts. So to change this damper, there's only truly 4 fixings that actually need to come out to get it out. First ones are going to be these 3 on top here. So we're going to pull out the electrical connector, tuck that out of the way, and then there's 3 nuts that need to come off here. Let's do that. Then at the bottom, all we've got is this big bolt that goes all the way through from one side to the other with a nut on the end. So I'll use an impact and a spanner on this. This is going to be a 21mm socket and a 21mm spanner. Gotta love having a big impact gun to whack stuff off. And here's the big shock absorber bolt, shock absorber mounting bolt for the bottom. That's a very long bolt just to hold a shock absorber in, isn't it? So now all we've got to do is manhandle this out of here. So should in theory be 3 now, and here we go. Oh, I didn't realise there was a gasket on there. Just got to try and get this past the height sensor without damaging it. And there we go. That's one old shock absorber removed. So that's the old damper off, guys. Looking at the state of it, I'm pretty certain this is going to be an original one that's been on there since the car was built. That label on there would probably have told us the date code when it was built, but as you can see, it's long gone. But yeah, here's hoping this is going to be the source of our issues. Let's throw the new one on. Damper's in position. Just going to feed this up. Can you see where I'm going? Anywhere near? So,
the bottom out of it if you can.
Bottom out?
Yeah. Rotate it.
Rotate it, I see. Oh, is that it, yeah?
That's it. One of them comes through.
Okay.
Towards you. Just hold it up there.
Yeah. If you can get like a cup, that's about as far as it can really. Yeah, just do them up as much as you can, then I'll have a look. I'll just see if I can, because it is a rubber. It's a rubber fixing at the top, so it will flex once you do the nuts up and bring itself square. Yeah, I'm just going to try and pull this down enough. Doesn't want to go. This will be really easy if I let the air out the airbag, actually. I'll just do that. Do work smarter, not harder. Get it wrapped.
This is what's good about car parts. Like how good that register is and everything.
Despite being thrashed about, yeah.
Like stuff lasts.
Yeah. Totally reusable.
Yeah.
So now we can easily
So it's up in the air.
lift that up. How many duggers do you reckon?
Quite a few. Your hand's gonna hurt now. Spam like that.
Let's leave it there for now.
Yeah, you need to do it again.
Yeah. So yeah, do the top ones up. It's probably a torque setting for them. So there we go, guys. One Bilstein damper fitted. Not bad of a job at all. The only tricky bit really was getting the top 3 bolts aligned in the hole at the top, but that was made a lot easier by having my housemate help me. So I'm going to throw the arch liner back in, put the wheel back on, put some tools away, and then we'll go for a drive and see what the difference is, if any. Right guys, that's the damper fitted, all the tools packed away, and there's nothing else to do now but to go for a drive and see what this thing feels like. Fingers crossed. My first impressions, guys, it does seem to have improved it a bit. The whole car feels a bit more composed now on the road. It doesn't seem to be trying to wobble as much. Before it felt like it was kind of pivoting on that rear damper, like the car was wobbling around it. Now, It definitely feels a bit more compliant, but I don't know, it still doesn't quite feel to me like it's riding quite as it should be. It does feel better, but I don't think it's quite perfect yet. The car feels a lot more composed now. The back end feels more planted, as in it's not wobbling around as much as it was before. But it's just the rear end just doesn't quite feel as compliant as it should be to me still. It still doesn't quite absorb the small imperfections as well as it should do. Yeah, just not quite there. So yeah, well, I don't think we've quite solved the issue completely there. We've definitely gone some way to improving it. And as a lot of you guys said before, regardless of whether or not this fixes the issue, it's always a good thing to have 2 new dampers fitted at once. So it needed doing anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. So I think the next thing we're going to try is refitting that other adaptive damping module that you saw me fit last time. We're then going to connect the laptop running SDD to the car using the diagnostics port, and we're going to calibrate the new adaptive damping module to see if that has any effect. Secondly, what we're going to do is we're going to record some live data from the height sensors and the adaptive damping module using SDD with a laptop. As hopefully that might give me some idea as to what's going on when we're driving this car around. So I've got a couple more things to check out. Let's get back to the house.